You think you've got my number figured out? A motive born in drought and brevity. And if I'm not the soul of your design, I blatantly decline your remedy. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine. I wasn't always just a single shade, a palette full of gray in reverie. And I can burn it brighter than the sun. I have a golden gun inside of me. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else. And if I fall behind, ignoring all the signs, and if I lose the fight, I still rage against the night. Don't box I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Wednesday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Wednesday. Welcome, everybody. Mouselander, welcome. Derry Bennett, welcome. Quad Bennett. Michael Haster. Blue Brother, welcome, everybody. Indeed. Shayna Kinlock, hello, lurking because I'm leaving for work. Good luck. And I appreciate it. Hi, folks. Today definitely I'm going to call this stream a little bit on the shorter side, so we should probably get started. The usual announcements, folks. Thank you for your support. If you want to support the channel and help, you can. There are many different ways of doing so. If you're on the YouTube, keep liking the stream. I see you. Keep liking the stream and subscribe. Consider joining the Discord. We do movie events. And check out the merch store. You can tip your streamer directly by hitting !tip. And thank you for your support. All right, folks, let's get started. That's right. If you want to check out, if you want to also help out the channel, check out the Substack. Check out the Substack. The same username @adifficulttruth. Go subscribe there. Okay. Go subscribe there. It really does help us out, and completely free. Completely free. I'm not going to make that a paid subscription. The next writing that will be on the Substack coming out Friday or Saturday will be about the 2024 election and what I believe to be the failure points that happened, all condensed into one article. A lot of it's what we've been talking about, just kind of condensed in writing. Okay, yeah, let's talk about this, folks, because the consequences of this incoming administration are going to be big. And one of the things that people have been talking a lot about is Project 2025 and what that entails. And it's a lot. It's a 900 and something page document, and it entails a lot. And most of it is not. Most of it is destroying the bureaucracy. Friend of the channel, the Beckosphere. Friend of the channel, the Beckosphere, posted this video a couple days ago or last week. And essentially, this video is about how Project 2025 is going to affect climate policy, or how the government is going to not handle this. In fact, we're going in the opposite direction.
Where you work. Because of the Biden administration's executive orders and policy priorities, you will have to look for climate change language and get rid of it.
Hey Hey y'all, it's Becky here from the Beckosphere, where we talk about the climate crisis and clean energy transition. If those sound like interesting and important topics to you, hit that subscribe button below and ring the bell so you don't miss every time I post. Today, we're going to react to a scary video, a Project 2025 training video. So Project 2025 is a plan headed by the Heritage Foundation along with many other conservative groups that love fossil fuels, guns, and Jesus, and hate abortion, LGBTQ people, immigration, black and brown people, environmental regulations.
Yeah, it's a collective of the worst people and worst ideologies, or organizations, I should say, all coalescing behind this far-right ideology. As she was saying, from gun freaks to deregulation to anti-LGBTQ to Christofascism. It's all there.
Taxes, public education. The list seems to go on. The goal of the 2025 plan is to create an organized plan for the next conservative president, Trump, as soon as he gets into office.
Right. So the point being is that it's going to be used, or the concept of Project 2025 is to essentially destroy the bureaucracy and centralize as much of that into the president's hand to effect direct action as possible, unilaterally. What I get so far from Trump's announcements about his new cabinet, loyalty is more important than qualifications. I'm not the only one who can't help but think of mafia structure, am I? Yeah, I mean, it's authoritarian because he is an authoritarian, so yeah. That kind of tracks.
While Trump acts like he's never heard of Project 2025, the plan is written by many of his former staff members, and he has actually applauded 2025 for its plans and ingenuity in the past.
For nearly 50 years.
Just to be clear, like, Donald Trump can say and lie about this all he wants, but the people who made Project 2025 are the same people who made Trump possible. Okay? So he knows. He knows, and he knows that he has to play ball because these are the people that got him in power.
Here's this legendary institution, which is what it is, has been at the forefront of the conservative movement, helping lead the fight to defend our cherished American history, culture, and traditions. Our country is going to hell. The critical job of institutions such as Heritage is to lay the groundwork, and Heritage does such an incredible job at that.
And if you think I'm exaggerating on the list of priorities, here's the list of policy suggestions on the Project 2025 main website that it boasts. Secure the border, finish building the wall, and deport illegal aliens. De-weaponize the federal government by increasing accountability and oversight of the FBI and DOJ. Unleash American energy production to reduce energy prices. Cut the growth of government spending to reduce inflation. Make federal bureaucrats more accountable to the democratically elected president and Congress. Improve education by moving control and funding of education from DC bureaucrats directly to parents and state and local government, and ban biological males from competing in women's sports. Okay, now some of those items might sound good to people. I mean, reducing inflation, lowering energy prices, and seeing bureaucrats be held accountable sound good to me. But
right, sound good on paper, but that's not what they mean. They don't mean like, oh, we should actually straighten out the bureaucracy to make it work better. They mean, let's get rid of as much of the bureaucracy as possible so that all our corporate buddies get a better shake, especially when it comes to regulations. And of course, the people that don't want to play ball and enact my agenda will be eliminated so that I can unilaterally apply what I want without Congress. It would censor our diverse representation on screen in every media. If they could, they would. It's here, indeed. And Elon Musk is in charge of getting rid of bureaucracy. Right, he's in charge. Like, so the way I understand of how this Doge is going to work, it's not going to be an actual governmental department. It's going to be a outside. It's going to be an outside organization that will give suggestions to which bureaucracies need to stay or reform or get rid of completely. But nonetheless, the richest man in the world and a venture capitalist are going to be the head of this, making suggestions, which presumably the administration is going to take very seriously to eliminate these bureaucracies, which presumably will be the ones that benefit the oligarchs, like Elon Musk. Right, like Heritage. So in fact, he'll be one of his closest advisors. I mean, kind of, right? Like, kind of. Yeah. Elon is super involved. In fact, he hasn't left. He's been at the White House, or Mar-a-Lago, I should say, pretty frequently, and has been on very important phone calls that he has no business being in, but yet he has been in those phone calls. Yeah, he's gonna be pretty close in that inside circle. Cami Kaztu, welcome.
But corporate monopolization and price gouging are the main causes of inflation, not government spending, and Project 2025 plans to give corporations more power with less oversight. And giving more land for fossil fuel companies to drill on, which usually is what Unleash American Energy means, will not actually increase their output, as I've talked about in a previous video that you can check out. Also, clean energy is officially the cheapest form of energy, but again, Project 2025 does not include that type of American energy production in that category. And how Project 2025 wants to hold career bureaucrats accountable is to break them down until they quit if they don't get in line. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The project has 4 parts: a policy book that lays out their vision, a personnel database full of conservatives readily available to be recruited into different
Dark MAGA. Hooah!
positions of government, essentially a conservative LinkedIn, training videos to make sure all of the conservatives are on the same ideological page, and a game plan for the administration's first 6 months in office. This plan has been in the works for many years, as in a lot of people working on this plan also worked in the Reagan administration. And
Cool.
even if Kamala wins this upcoming election, it's still important to know that this stuff exists, because conservatives will try to still implement as much of it as they can in state governments, which we're already seeing, and through Congress. Now, the only part of Project 2025 that was supposed to be available to the public was the over 900-page policy book, which was released last year. But oops, ProPublica and Documented leaked over 10 of the training videos new hires are supposed to watch before they start their job. So I'm actually reacting to one of those for this video. And actually my reaction was from a Twitch stream I did last Sunday. I also Control F'd climate throughout the whole policy book document during that stream too. Took 3 hours. That was too long to shorten into a concise video for this format, but that is going to be my next video, is basically summing up what I learned from that experience. So without further ado, here is Twitch Becky. Hello! I'm wearing cat ears, so obviously I'm very Halloween-y. Though my favorite thing is this shirt that I'm wearing. Let me show you. You can't tell, but it says stress ball, and it's the earth. I felt like it was very appropriate for today. We're just gonna watch like the first, kind of get a little view. I think it's like the first 8 minutes we're gonna watch.
Hi, I'm Katie Sullivan, and just a normal American woman. But to the left, that makes me a cisgendered ethno-imperialist birthing person with pronouns she, her. Words like that are quite a mouthful, and it's one America needs to spit out before we choke on it.
In the eyes of
Hey,
many
Anna.
in the world,
How's it
this
going?
every 4-year ceremony we accept as normal
Paging Anna Kasparian. Paging Anna Kasparian.
Is nothing less than a miracle.
We're watching infuriating
In
content.
America, we understand that a nation is only living as long as it is striving.
Only a few generations have been granted the role of defending freedom in its hour of maximum danger.
This great nation will endure as it has endured, will revive and will prosper.
Whether we go forward together with courage or turn back to policies that weakened our economy, diminished our leadership in the world, America's future will be in your hands.
Bethany, are your children afraid of monsters in the attic or under the bed?
Yeah, they have been, but we always tell them that they do not exist.
Today we have news. There are monsters in Uncle Sam's attic.
It's the words, phrases, definitions that are used, which may look like
This is so cringe. This can only be attributed to conservative, like, propaganda training videos or whatever. Like, this can only happen in conservative propaganda. This is so freaking cringe. Like, this is so like it makes it's like nails on chalkboard.
one thing, but absolutely mean another. And it is scary.
During this training, we will identify the problem, discuss examples from our time in the federal government, as well as the 5 cross-cutting principles of the current administration. We will teach you how to unwind the words and phrases that have been so artfully layered into every document in the federal government. You can do this in any role at any level of seniority. This training will prepare you to make changes, and fast. The left continually pivots and assaults definitions and phrases. They twist words and phrases to support subconscious acceptance of a philosophy that was rejected or is against the grain of human existence, like, what is a woman? Perhaps the most effective tool the left wields is their ability to engage in constant subliminal advertising through their narrative, words, and phrases.
Mm-hmm. Right. So the thing to like remember here is every accusation is just a confession. What do you think church is? What do you think the religious element of the right is?
Marxism became socialism, then democratic socialism, and is now represented by
Yes,
the
those are
terms
all the same
social
thing.
justice and equity. This is perhaps the most scary of all.
True. That's super scary when we actually like treat people like when we actually treat people like people, and we want people to be treated the same. It's super scary to these people. I suppose that is scary to these people. No, just to be clear, Marxism is not the same as socialism, and that's not the same as democratic socialism. These are all different flavors of like left-wing ideology, and that's why they have different names. That's why they have different names. I can't help but to think Scientology. I never watched their introduction videos, but I suppose it's quite similar.
Pretty terrifying.
What brings to mind is the quote, "He who controls the language rules the world." It's attributed to Joseph Stalin and other tyrants. And George Orwell stated, "He who controls language controls culture." Even more, Hitler and others lived by the creed. If you repeat a lie often enough, people will believe it. Without doubt, it's true. Language is a powerful and often controlling tool.
Career bureaucrats and the left are also using language to change culture and gain more.
Career bureaucrats and the left. Amazing. Where do they find these albinos? This is from the Heritage Foundation. This is from the Heritage Foundation.
And more authority, thereby upsetting the balance of power envisioned by our founding fathers. This, in essence, weaponized language against the American people.
This training is
I really wish that the left was as powerful as the right thinks it is. I know the phrase that looks like one thing, but it absolutely means another. Family values doesn't mean a loving family to Republicans. It means hatred towards the LGBTQIA. Correct.
Yeah, family values mean subservient to the man. Like unironically, like family values means like husband who is at the top with a wife who is subservient to him, and who is not only just subservient but property along with his kids, right? That's traditional family values. That's what they mean when they talk about this, when they talk like that.
That's a good example. They have a lot of those, you know? It's kind of weird. It's like, I don't know, it's like the calls coming from inside the house. It's very strange.
Vital to you as a political appointee. If there's one thing you take from this training, it is to know when you start your job as a political appointee, every single word and acronym must be vetted, and you must determine what implications every word has before publishing or moving forward with any official or internal document.
All right. So now that we have identified the problem, let's give the viewers a taste of what we saw in the Trump administration. Bethany and I were both part of a coordinated effort in the Trump administration focused on trying to take back hijacked language and definitions across the United States government and even at our engagements in the United Nations. From our experiences, we will teach you how to identify the left's progressive language, scrutinize career staff compositions for dangerous language, and how to combat their manipulative efforts, ensuring clarity of definition and conservative intention. Bethany and I are going to give you some examples of what we mean.
Of conservative. Wait, go back.
How to combat their manipulative efforts, ensuring clarity of definition and conservative intention.
Right. So, like, that right there is the giveaway of the whole game, right? We're not actually talking about taking a serious look at vocabulary. The game here is that I want to make sure that my interpretation is the one that is imposed on everybody else, right? Like, that's what's happening here. The actual definition of a word, none of that is really important to these people. The point is that right there, it's the conservative intention. In other words, like, hey, actually, I need this to make I need this to impose my world view, because the radical left or whatever is warping reality, whatever it is.
Bethany and I are going to give you some examples of what we mean by this need to always ensure clarity. But in no way are we able to foresee the future and anticipate how the progressive left will continue to co-opt even more words and definitions.
There's like 12 videos like this.
As a non-native, I listen to it differently, I suppose. Just the term hijacked language, right? It's double speak, right?
Just so you know, this is one of the more egregious ones, I would say, because it's the most mask off in a way.
I can tell you the words and phrases being used today. You enter the administration. These examples may be obsolete.
I'm actually going to I'm going to speed it up a little bit because they are talking so slow. I was watching these at 2. We're going to just go to 1.5.
Crucial issue areas to pay close attention to. We do not know what they will be calling men and women by the time you begin your tenure with the administration. The left is trying to dismantle America and rebuild it in their own image by using the art of deception.
Amazing.
And words and definitions are their weapon of choice. Remember, words change culture. Bethany, with your extensive experience with both domestic and internet...
Words change. Isn't that like an explicitly like fascistic thought process? The first thing that I see when I Google that is a freaking PragerU video. Like when I Google like words change culture or something like that, Like one of the first things that I see is like a dubious website about European. Oh, good lord, what is it? European something or other. The European Association of Communication Directors. So a bunch of like LinkedIn people, and then like PragerU as this as like the second thing I see.
National policy issues, and in light of your role in leadership positions at USAID, can you walk us through some examples of how the left uses words, weaponizes really, words and definitions? And if you could do that in a context.
Like, I'm not even kidding. Look, words change culture. This like LinkedIn, like whatever, and then like PragerU. Cool.
Of the cross-cutting issues that are identified in the mandate for leadership.
We should.
And really, as we understand, the cross-cutting issues were identified because they are the pillars of the Biden administration. And so they've been layered into virtually every document in the federal government. If you could walk us through some of those examples, I think it would be incredibly helpful.
I'd be happy.
That's such a convoluted question.
The 5 topic areas for today's discussion are centered on women, children, and family, environment, human rights and border security, the gender cult, and equity.
We're going to move ahead to the climate change portion of this video.
Bethany, it's
The gender cult. Amazing. Isn't that in and of itself like the weaponization of language? Isn't that in and of itself like subliminal? Like, isn't using language like that subliminal, like programming, right? The gender cult. By incorrectly describing it as a cult, isn't that in and of itself hijacking language? Amazing. Remember what I said? Every accusation is just a confession. How the left weaponizes words. If I didn't know better, I'd say they were joking. No, this is not a joke.
It's incredible how the left is able to make killing children and babies a pro-movement. I mean, their narrative is just incredible.
Right. So right there, that's it. That's subliminal programming right there. Right? Because the imagery that they want to put in people's heads is that like having an abortion is killing literal babies, like literal children. Right? They are literally doing the same thing, or they're doing the thing that they are accusing of the other side of doing. Let's go back to that for a split second there.
If you could walk us through some of those examples, I think it would be incredibly helpful.
I'd be happy.
That's such a convoluted question.
The 5 topic areas for today's discussion are centered on women, children, and family, environment, human rights and border security, the gender cult, and equity.
We're going to move ahead to the climate change portion of this video.
Bethany, it's incredible how the left is able to make killing children and babies a pro-movement. I mean, their narrative is just incredible and so opposite of what the reality of the situation is.
Oh, yeah.
Also with
we're delusional
with environment, right? So I remember when I was in school.
Yeah. So this is like the most 1984 type shit I've ever seen in my life, right? Because like the entire premise of this 49 minute training video is like trying to make the argument of how like the left wing distorts words and uses language as a weapon. Meanwhile, like this entire video is the right wing distorting words and using them as a weapon. Fantastic stuff.
In elementary school, we were taught that we were all going to be frozen over by an ice age. And of course, this was terrifying. And then in the 80s, it was
that
acid
definitely
rain.
happened.
We were all going to die from the acid rain. And then it moved.
What?
I've heard these arguments so many times where they're like, oh man, at first it was getting cooler. Like, where did that go? And it's like, that was a blip that people thought that. Like, and I'm pretty sure that was never taught in schools. Like, how global cooling story came to be. 9 paragraphs written in Newsweek in 1975 continue to trump 40 years of climate science.
Amazing. This is like why media literacy is so freaking important. This is why like critical thinking is so freaking important, and like this is why the Trump administration, the incoming Trump administration, is poised. Why it's so disastrous that the incoming Trump administration is poised to take a hatchet to the Department of Education, because like this is absurd. How we're actually like crafting an entire narrative that isn't true for decades based on 9 paragraphs on a Newsweek article. Fantastic stuff. Abortions after birth are, by definition of that word, impossible. Is that really difficult to understand? No, they know. Like, people like this know. Like, people like the Heritage Foundation, like, I'm sorry, but like a lot of these upper echelon ghouls, they know what they're doing. Because like I seriously have difficulty believing that they don't know that this is all like nonsense, that they can't, like, that they don't know that this is all BS. Because like it's too intentional, right? Like, it's too freaking intentional to sit here and do like a scripted 49-minute video on how the left weaponizes language by like weaponizing language the entire time. Like, this is all freaking like this is all made up and made on purpose is what I'm trying to say. This is intentional. So like, yeah, you're right. Obviously, like, if you apply some logic, this all kind of breaks down. But like, they know, the people at these upper echelons from like conservative intelligentsia, from like the Heritage Foundation, all these people, they know that all these supporters and all these lemmings, they don't do any critical thinking or research or think, period. So they kind of get away with it. The propagandic right, accusing the left of weaponizing language as they are slicing your ears off with its rhetoric and carpet bombing you with their own propaganda. Yeah, it's amazing. Thank you for the tier 1 sub. I appreciate it. For 32 freaking months. Thank you. I appreciate it, Cognizant. It is actually amazing that like they're really trying to say like that the left is weaponizing language as they sit here and talk about gender cults and murdering babies. Amazing. Once a child left the womb, it's no longer an abortion, but a simple murder. Right, but like it's not convenient for them to have any type of critical thinking. In fact, it's detrimental to the conservative movement. If like all their followers and cult members actually started to have some type of critical thinking and question what they're being told, then there would be no conservative movement, right? But like, you know, people are people.
Record that,
and like all these people are just going off vibes, and these people vote.
It has authors amazed. And this is an article from 2014. Temperatures have plunged to record lows on the East Coast, and once again, Peter Gwynn has been heralded as a journalist ahead of his time by some. Gwynn was a science editor of Newsweek 39 years ago when he pulled together some interviews from scientists and wrote a 9-paragraph story about how the planet was getting cooler. Ever since, Gwynn's global cooling story and a similar Time magazine's piece have been brandished gleefully by those who say that it shows global warming is not happening, or at least that scientists and often journalists don't know what they're talking about. Fox News loves to cite it. So, you know, that is literally where it came from. So it was never taught in schools. So she's lying in that part, allegedly.
Right, because it's a 9-paragraph like piece on Newsweek, right? It Yeah, it's a 70. It's a 7,300 day post abortion.
Let me cover my bases, I guess, but like, girl. So she said, first they were talking about global cooling, and then they were talking about acid rain. Where did that go? Acid rain, we realized it was a problem, and so we actually collectively decided to stop putting chemicals in the atmosphere that caused acid rain. Yes, that's also a fun fact, Misty, is that according to the placement of the sun comparative to the earth, we actually should be moving in a cooling cycle, but we are warming the planet so significantly that we have surpassed that being able to be the case.
63 scientists studying Hubbard Brook Experimental Forest in New Hampshire made a shocking discovery. Their most recent rainfall samples were nearly 100 times more acidic than usual. At these levels, additional downpours of acid rain would destroy the region's marine and arboreal.
Yeah, it's probably because of fossil fuels.
Ecosystems in a matter of decades. Urgently sharing their findings with fellow researchers, they were determined to.
Or was this like the whole like CFC thing?
To answer two questions. What was causing this deadly rainfall, and what could be done to stop it? Nitrogen and sulfur dioxide can appear naturally as a short-lived byproduct of volcanic eruptions or lightning strikes. But power plants, refineries, and vehicles that use fossil fuels
There you go. Okay, I was right the first time.
consistently pump large quantities into the air. These dangerous gases travel with the wind, spreading hundreds.
That's another ironic part about all this, is that it's just another thing that was caused by fossil fuels. So, if you're still concerned about acid rain, that's another reason to stop burning fossil fuels and using fossil fuels. But
of kilometers from the pollution source. Acting like roaming clouds of destruction, their presence dramatically increases the acidity of local precipitation, creating
Nice.
acid rain, acid snow, and acid fog. By the
Jesus
1970s,
Christ.
scientists in North America and Europe classified acid rain as a major environmental threat. But despite clear evidence tying the problem to air pollution, companies denied responsibility and cast doubt on the research.
That's
in
so
the
weird.
United States, corporations lobbied
It's so weird. Why would corporations do that?
against regulating pollution and convinced politicians that such policies would raise energy costs and threaten jobs. These obstacles
that sounds
led
familiar.
the government to delay changes and mandate further research into the issue. But
Just do more
after a
research,
decade
guys.
Of mounting concern, Congress finally took action. Since the bulk of sulfur dioxide emissions came from power plants, the government set a limit on the total amount of it the electric power sector could emit each year. Then they divided.
Oh, also fun fact, there is a connection to climate change because they tried to use the same rule to limit how much CO2 power plants could also emit. And the Supreme Court said, no, you can't do that.
The permitted emissions.
No, this is not a PragerU video, although it is in the style of a PragerU video. I think that's on purpose. I think they did that on purpose because this is actually a counter to that, but it's in that same kind of weird infographic style.
Into a fixed number of allowances distributed to each power plant. A plant could then choose to emit as much sulfur dioxide as they were allowed, or reduce their emissions and sell their unused allowances to other power plants. This system, known as cap and trade, offered power plants the economic flexibility to keep costs low while strictly limiting pollution. Some plants added desulfurizing scrubbers to their smokestacks, or switched to low-sulfur coal and natural gas. Oxides of nitrogen emissions were also reduced with relatively low-cost technologies. These advances allowed the power sector to grow while the cap kept pollution under control. Acid rain's relatively quick journey from major threat to minor issue is rightly celebrated as a victory for policies that protect the environment. Cap and trade can't solve every environmental problem, but by using scientific consensus to guide policy, adopting efficient technology, and being unafraid to impose reasonable costs for pollution.
Well, the scientific consensus is saying that we just need to get off fossil fuels and stop burning them.
Countries can stop a growing storm of destruction before it's too late.
How did we originally get on this topic? Well, she was like, it was originally getting colder, and then they complained about acid rain. Where did that go? Oh, it was solved by the similar rules that we were trying to use to solve climate change, but you guys blocked that, so,
I mean, their narrative is just incredible and so opposite of what the reality of the situation is.
And then in the 80s, it was acid rain. We were all going to die from the acid rain. And then it moved to global warming, which I think, most of the people watching this tape will remember. That was during the Obama administration.
Yes.
And then science.
That was actually not during the Obama administration, considering that Al Gore wrote Inconvenient Truth. Yeah, global warming, it only existed when Obama was president. It's not like, I don't know, scientists from the 1800s knew about it, or that fossil fuel companies had their scientists do research on it back in the 70s. It's not like we've known it for like an extremely long time.
Science comes along and disproves the global warming theory in large part, and we have one of the most frigid winters ever known.
I'm sorry, what?
And then science comes along and disproves the global warming theory in large part, and we have one of the most frigid winters ever known.
No. No, that's literally not what happened at all. I'll switch to lurking, see you. Thank you, I appreciate it. Heat, how's it going?
And then the next thing...
Right, because famously, cold cannot exist when it's global warming, because, like, everything warms at once, and, like, there's not really these things called, like, weather patterns that, like, I don't know, impact where different weather systems go and therefore are impacted by climate change. Like, no, like, it all gets consistently warm at the same time. So, like, if there's any colds, like, that's not climate change, or like that proves that there is no climate change.
Yeah, like that congressperson who brought a freaking snowball into Congress. Same energy.
Yeah, that's how weather works, right?
They're calling it climate change. Now, I always understood that climate change meant seasons. Our climate does change all the time.
No, that's not the same. No, seasons are seasons. Oh my god. Okay. Yeah, there's still snow in Alaska. Checkmate, libs. Yes, you had the most frigid winters because more of the polar air was pushed south. Yeah, just because you're dumb AF doesn't mean it's not real.
Time, but of course that's not.
Oh, okay, so you just don't understand science. Got it. Right, climate is the same thing as weather. Yeah, that's right. When the seasons change, that's climate. Like, you're making it very obvious that you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, the ignorant reinforcing ignorance.
What do you think about all of about the left's words and definitions in the environment?
It's a great point, Katie. They don't.
Great point. Nah, you know what? This is all scripted. So, like, yeah, we learned this in first grade. So, like, this is all scripted. So, like, I refuse to believe that, like, the people who made all of this didn't know what's going on. Because, like, none of this makes any sense to anybody who, like, knows anything. And since this is all scripted, it's intentional, right? They sound as convincing as flat earthers. Same energy.
Stop. Climate change, allegedly, is everywhere. And if the American people elect a conservative president, his administration will have to eradicate climate change references from absolutely everywhere. And according to our intelligence community, the number one threat...
So they're just saying the quiet part out loud. If Trump is elected, he will remove climate change from every administration, and all the people that are hired under him will know to remove the term, and whatever term that they might deem as too similar to it.
Yeah, I mean, like, we're kind of getting that vibe, based on who he picked as the EPA director.
From every single piece of legislation. It's going to be Florida in the country scale. And he already did do that in the last administration, so he would just be doing it again. Thankfully, there are a few agencies have recently put in place different rules that give further protections to their employees, to be able to speak about the research without being worried about being punished.
Yeah, but, like, that's all good and well, but, like, if they get to do what they want, like, again, we're entering a very gray area where a lot of I'm going to use this word very loosely, but whatever guardrails or semblance of guardrails that exist, a lot of them are going to be stress test. And we're entering a very gray area where I don't know how much damage this guy is going to do, but he's sure going to try. The point where I was going with this is that that's all good and well, but if he gets what he wants, he'll just like take an axe to that office anyways. As long as it's within the bureaucracy, he's going to claim that he has executive privilege to axe that whole office, and then it doesn't really matter what protections they have, right? Yeah, because changing the language always solves the problem. True.
So that's something at least, but
is everywhere. And if the American people elect a conservative president, his administration will have to eradicate climate change references from absolutely everywhere. And according to our intelligence community, the number one threat facing our country today is, drumroll, climate change.
Yep.
Not Russia, not China, not AI, climate change. This shows how the federal government is all in on this issue. And climate change activists wield a lot of power. This is an issue to pay attention to, as it has infiltrated every part of the federal government.
Amazing.
Now, when I think of climate change, I immediately think of population control, don't you? I think about...
True. That's what it means to acknowledge the realities of the planet. Yeah. Now we're feeding into the conspiracy brain part. Got it. Bring out your Alex Joneses.
yes, that's the first thing that I think of with climate change is population control. I'm sorry, are we still in like the 70s or 80s when we were like panicking about like population size of developing countries? That's one of the easiest, like, frankly, racist ways to go about talking about climate change is to just be like, oh yeah, all these countries that have like a ton of children, they need to reduce their
Yeah, so like what she's talking about is effectively eco-fascist, right? Because they've got a solution to the climate problem. What one could even say it's a final solution.
Population size.
And I suspect that if the eco-fascists get their way, I suspect I know what kind of groups they would choose to control the population of.
And it's like, no. It's not that humans are inherently like unsustainable beings. It's that our current system of doing things gives the impression that they should be overly consuming and using way more energy than they need to. So if everybody were to live like American would live, then yeah, we would be screwed. But that's not how a lot of countries live. Americans, on the other hand, we need to reduce our individual like consumption, which of course is a systemic problem. It's not something that individuals themselves are.
Yeah, a softer side of insanity. Because as we all know, China devastated the Southeast states with its Chinese recently. It's Chinese, right? Yeah, indeed.
Or having to do on their own entirely. But no, population control is not the first thing I think of when I think of climate change. Very weird of you to say.
No, not at all. That's like an eco-fascist talking point. Hurricane China.
People who don't want you to have children because of the impact on the environment. Perhaps not everyone will make that connection, but after spending time in the international space trying to protect life, I can tell you that this is part of their ultimate goal.
Trying to protect life? Question mark? Up is down, folks. Up is down.
Control people. Let me share a personal example of how the left seeks to permeate every dimension of life through their skewed terminology and definition.
Mm-hmm.
When I arrived at USAID, I had a career employee ask me how many children I had.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a bit odd of a question, but to be kind, I answered.
All right, let's hear this scenario that totally happened. All right, hit us up.
And I said, I had 3 children. And he actually said to me, oh wow, 1.5 too many for the environment. I smiled and I said,
there is no way in hell that
that's a thing. That's a thing that totally happened, by the way.
that actually happened.
Yeah.
Like straight up, that didn't happen.
Yeah, we both caught that. We both caught on that immediately. That's a thing that did not happen, okay? Out of all the things that didn't happen, this one didn't happen the most, okay? Amazing.
I'm calling bullshit on this story. I don't think it really happened. Also, I did do a video on human population a while back, so check out that video if you're interested in more of my commentary on that topic.
Very politely, if I could have 10 more children, I would. The policy book captures the essence of climate change, and I quote, "In the name of combating climate change, policies have been used to create an artificial energy scarcity that will require trillions of dollars in new investment, supported with taxpayer."
I'm gonna stop you right there. Fossil fuel corporations already do this. Okay. So yeah. And like, how would one create artificial energy scarcity when the whole goal is to use renewable energy like the sun and wind?
Subsidies to address a problem that government and special interests themselves have created.
I mean, it's not completely incorrect that special interests in government have created the problem of climate change. That's actually quite accurate. But the fact that it will require trillions of dollars in new investment kind of just, ignores the fact that it would also cost way more money to not do anything about it. And then saying that it has to be supported by taxpayer subsidies is hilarious, considering that fossil fuel companies have historically gotten billions and trillions of dollars of taxpayer subsidies for decades. But, now it's a problem. So, and it also has nothing to do with artificial energy scarcity. Like actually has nothing to do with the topic at hand. Like, we're not talking about energy scarcity. Yes, we know that we have more fossil fuels that we could burn if we wanted to, but I mean, our own, fossil fuel companies don't even want to burn it because they rather keep prices artificially high.
Right, by creating artificial scarcity, right? So yeah. Oh my goodness! Like the way like these people freaking do this is that it's actually amazing.
So they're the ones creating the energy scarcity, funny enough. But
population growth, environmental changes, and weather patterns have all been intertwined by the left. They take or even make up a term and create, extend, and alter the definition to validate whatever ideology or position they want to ingrain.
Okay, so far we've gotten like not really much of like what are you talking about, right? Like how is it? Because I know that she's focusing on the climate crisis stuff, but like what stretch of the word, or what stretching of language is the left using when it comes to the climate crisis, for example? Man, I've never been so glad at work. This is painful. Agreed. I wish I could stay to watch. Maybe I'll catch you later. No problem. Hey, feel free to check out the VODs on YouTube. It's always there. Appreciate you. Appreciate you stopping by.
And convince others is good, when in reality it's not. Often, as you just heard, they are simply not coherent or logical. Remember, our intelligence community identified climate change as the #1 threat to America. So even if you do not work at the Department of Energy, no matter where you work.
So you're saying that the intelligence community got it wrong? Okay, so prove your counterpoint. You've literally, like, you have hold on.
Because of the Biden administration's executive orders and policy priorities, you will have to look for climate change language and get rid of it.
49-minute video. Okay.
Bethany, when you were talking about how the left...
So, anyways, that's where we're going to stop with this video, but just so you're understanding that they totally just say the quiet part out loud. If you want to watch the rest of that video, I'll leave a link below. I encourage any other content creators to make content on Project 2025 training videos, because I'm surprised that they didn't make the commentary rounds as much. But, especially if you're interested in covering things like gender and LGBTQ issues, you got a lot of content there. And as of writing the script for this video, I actually found another ProPublica and documented leak.
A video in a video in a video that will end up in a video on YouTube. Amazing. So yeah, this is a video with a video that's about a video that is now going to end up in a video and another video. In another video on YouTube being the live stream.
This time for a private presentation given during the invitation-only annual events led by Career for Renewing America, which is a pro-Trump think tank. The speaker, Russell Vought, served under Trump as the director of the Office of Management and Budget and was known as Trump's right-hand man for deregulation. He's now the president of the CRA. Here's the part of the speech that I found particularly relevant to this channel.
We want the bureaucrats to be traumatically affected. We want, when they wake up in the morning, we want them to not want to go to work because they are increasingly viewed as the villains. We want their funding to be shut down so that the EPA can't do all of the rules.
Yeah. So I mean, like, yeah, dude, this is what it's all about. And you know what? This is kind of screwed, man, because he's on the cusp of potentially getting through some of this, and this is very freaking scary. Echo Wrestler Dragon, welcome. Oh yeah, we're gonna go over this. Yes.
Against our energy industry because they have no bandwidth financially to do so. We want to put them in trauma.
So to be clear, any person that doesn't agree with these people are really not seen as humans themselves. You don't treat humans like that. Instead, they want the government to move out of the way so corporations can do whatever they want with American land, because that worked so well in the 70s, you know, when the Environmental Protection Agency was developed by a Republican president because the local environment had become so polluted. We don't pay attention to history very well. We'll go over exactly how the Project 2025 plans to weaken the EPA and other departments in the next video, so make sure that you are subscribed for that. Please vote if you haven't already.
Weakened. We'll be lucky if the EPA is still existing.
Done so, and get your like-minded friends and family to do so too. Share this video with them if you think that it will help mobilize them. The best day to mail in your ballot might have been yesterday to make sure that it's
Okay, so yeah, this is essentially old news because the election happened. But let's get to the real important part of the video.
because it is not a national holiday. But yeah, good luck. It's now time for a fun fact about Rue. Rue's not the best at self-play, so every night, for the most part, we try to play 2 rounds of Laser Pointer. He loves Laser Pointer. It's the best game ever. I recommend the laser pointer I'm using. I'll put a link in the description below because it's rechargeable, which I don't know why disposable laser pointers even still exist. And it also provides many different options for a different shape that the cat can chase, just to add a little more interest to the play. And that was a fun fact about Rue.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for. Okay. So we got a couple of headlines to talk through before we get out of here. One of them being what you brought up, Echo Wrestler Dragon. We will be talking about Butthead over here. I actually had this queued up. We will be talking about Butthead over here. White House urges Senate Democrats to approve new judges before the term ends. Yeah, you got to get on that because time is ticking. I think it's cool Trump is getting rid of all the student loans. Oh, my sweet summer child. Oh, my sweet summer child. If only that was true. If only you thought that that's how that actually worked. My sweet sweet summer child. Bless your heart. Bless your heart if you think that, bless your heart if you think that getting rid of the Department of Education is going to end up getting rid of student loans. No single GOP has talked about it because that's not how that works, okay? Senate Democrats are racing to confirm up to 30 federal judges nominated by Joe Biden to avoid leaving vacancies that could be filled up by Trump when he retakes the White House. The expected flurry of judicial approvals has been triggered by Democrats' loss of a single-seat majority in last week's election, which Republicans took 53 of the 100. It means the current Senate just has over 7 weeks to confirm Biden's pick before the new Congress is sworn in on January 3rd, 2.5 weeks before Trump's inauguration. It's kind of how government-backed guaranteed loans that can't be dispersed in bankruptcy work. No, that's literally not how that works. Just because the Department of Education goes away does not mean that the loans go away, because the government still has those loans, as you literally just mentioned. So no, if the Department of Education goes poof tomorrow, those loans will still be owed. They're currently not administering the loans due to a stay. Okay. But again, what does this have to do with axing the Department of Education? Do you not know how this works? Just want them to get rid of the agency and manage them because they're going to mess everything up. Yeah, I know, like, you people don't like education because, you know, that's just how you are. I know you people are afraid of education, and that's why you want to take an axe to the Department of Education. But, like, please, that's not how that works. That's literally not how that works. I'm a teacher and I don't like loans. Okay, well, again, getting rid of the Department of Education is not going to get rid of your loans. That's not how that works. This response reminds us why education is so important. Getting rid of the Department of Education won't stop the Treasury, right? The Department of Education is one of the most influential departments. Yeah, that's all really cool, dude. That's all, like, amazing, except none of that has to do with your loans. I don't want it to go away, but I didn't get picked as president. Right, but your first comment was Trump is getting rid of all the student loans. That's not true. I can see, like, the history of your comments, right? I think it's cool that Trump is getting rid of all student loans. That's not true. I mean, they're going to do it day one. They've made that really clear. You can tell by his cabinet that this is all a joke. Well, his cabinet is a joke. It's literally a circus. But just to be clear, student loans are not going away. It was a Hail Mary to stay out of prison, and it worked. Yeah, that's true. Finally, we're getting somewhere. Yes, that's true. Oh, facetious. Okay, then that's on me. That one's on me. Yeah. Anyways, it means the current also. When did you hear a single DNC candidate talk about student loans during this election cycle? No, nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. The Democratic Party was nowhere to be found. They gave up. They attempted to do some sort of like small around the edge things within their purview, and that got trumped up by the Supreme Court, and then they just kind of rolled over, showed their bellies, and like we never heard about this again. So yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and disagree with that. Yeah. The White House is calling on Democratic senators to work around the clock to win approval for Biden's liberal-leaning nominees to federal districts and appeals courts, many of whom are women and ethnic minorities. 16 have already been approved by the Senate and Judiciary Committee and need to be brought to a floor vote before final confirmation. Another 8 are still in the committee and waiting consideration. At stake is a desire to enhance Biden's legacy of liberal judges appointed, while limiting Trump's capacity to add to the number of conservative appointments he made during his first presidency. Trump made 234 judicial appointments, the second most any president, and nominated 3 right-wing justices to the Supreme Court who drastically altered the court's balance and presaged a spat of conservative-inspired ruling. In a social media post, Trump demanded without any authority that the Democrats should not approve judges before they lose their narrow Senate majority. No judges shall be approved during this time because Democrats are looking to ram through their judges and Republicans fight over Senate leadership. This is not acceptable, even though I did the same thing. My party. So the bummer, I wish there was politicians that represented me, but you got Republican light or whatever the GOP is doing now. Yeah, I'm sorry. I know. Do you think that he'll get 1 Supreme Court justice this term? 1 or 2? I'm not even gonna no, this is already a pretty bad timeline, okay? I don't want to entertain any more worse things that could possibly happen. Jesus Christ. If he makes a freaking 7-2 majority Supreme Court, like that's like the darkest time. One of the pathways to the darkest timeline. I'm good. Then you pick 3? Yeah. And I don't want him to pick any more. I mean, like, the likelihood of him having a Supreme Court pick during the 4 years that he's in office is admittedly low, but not 0. But I don't know. I don't know. His entreaties opened up to accusations of hypocrisy, given that in the weeks after he lost the 2020 election to Biden, the Republican-led Senate approved 14 of his chosen judges. They included Eileen Cannon, who oversaw the classified document case against Trump, and who subsequently dismissed the special counsel's indictment against him. Biden has successfully appointed 214 judges so far, meaning that if those awaited confirmation are approved, he will slightly have surpassed the number of judicial appointments made by Trump in his first presidency. The president's aides are urging the Senate Democrats to move quickly. There's a push across the board from the White House and the Senate for Democrats to show up and do the job they were elected to do. Yeah, so like this is like a let's go, do or die. We've got like a couple weeks. Let's go. Phil Machina, welcome. Just wait until you see Bricks of America last, of course. Biden's a fool for not packing the court. I agree. I like beer judge. He represents my love for beer. He represents my love for beer. I like beer. Can we get a sound clip of that?
I drank beer with my friends. Sometimes I had too many beers. I liked beer. I still like beer. Had beers, have some beers. One beer, drink beer, drinks beer, drank beer, and drinking beer. You've probably had beers, Senator.
Each week, Ralph Club biggest contributor.
You know, I got a weak stomach, whether it's with beer. I like beer.
You haven't answered that.
I like beer. I don't know if you do.
Okay.
Do you like beer, Senator, or not? What do you like to drink?
Next one.
Hanging out and having some beers with friends, which I gladly do, and which I fully embrace.
Amazing. Can't wait to teach the kids about the Supreme Court justice where his quote is, "I love beer," but in reality it's very presidential at this point. Yeah, he just likes beer a lot. Sir, do you have a problem? Yeah, he likes, maybe you should see somebody about that. Sips rum and Dr. Pepper. Is that good? That sounds actually like it could be a good mix. That actually sounds like a pretty good freaking mix. My favorite? I gotta try that. Maybe I've had it in a long time ago, but that actually sounds like a really good mix. It's kind of like it's kind of like how vanilla Coke, like if you've ever had vanilla Coke and rum, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. My fave? Alright, yeah, it's definitely something I need to try. Mountain Dew and whiskey is really good too. That sounds good too. I've got sugar-free Mountain Dew, and I have whiskey, actually. I think I do. Allegedly. There's a push across the board from the White House and the Senate for Democrats to show up and do the job they were elected to do. I hope we're going to see some later nights. One a day normally where you would normally process 2 nominees. Why not process 3? Another good mix is peach, crown, and cream soda. Peaches and cream. Nice. Vanilla Coke is rare, but you can add vanilla to Coke. I use Diet Dr. Pepper and Malibu. Nice. Nice. Y'all are making me very thirsty. They probably don't do that because they have a golf game in the morning. The tight schedule depends on high Democratic attendance in order to overcome Republican determination to obey Trump's desire to block new appointments, and may also fall foul of moderates like Joe frickin' Manchin, the outgoing independent senator for West Virginia, who was recently a Democrat, said he would vote against any nominee who does not have the approval of at least one Republican. What an a-hole. What an a-hole. What a spiteful a-hole. Anyways, April Perry, the first nominee of the backlog, was confirmed on Tuesday as a U.S. judge for the Northern District of Illinois in a 51-44 vote that included backing of 2 moderate Republican senators, Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski. Among those other waiting confirmation is Adio Manji, who had been nominated to the Third Circuit Court of Appeals in Philadelphia and would be the country's first Muslim appellate judge. Like a shot of single malt Highland Scotch with a shot of single malt Highland Scotch. The second Gilded Age sucks. Yeah, can I roll for another one? Can I roll D20 for another one? A do-over? I need a redo on this one. As an educator, this might be up your alley, Wizard Lizard. I actually just watched a great video on Bo Burnham. Bo Burnham's funny. Florida education officials report hundreds of books pulled from school libraries. He seems to have seen the game and gotten out. Yeah, I mean, he's talked, like, from the limited, like, information that kind of I remember. He was out of it for a while, and there was good reasons for it, and I think he did like a couple of things, and he's out of the spotlight again. The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison, Forever by Judy Blume, Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut, all have been pulled from the shelves of some Florida schools, according to the latest list compiled by the Florida Department of Education, tallying books removed by local school districts. Recent changes to state law have empowered parents and residents to challenge school library books and required districts to submit an annual report to the state detailing which books have been restricted in their schools. Florida continues to lead the country in pulling books from school libraries, according to analysis by the American Library Association and the advocacy group PEN America. A restriction of access is a restriction of one's freedom. One's freedom to read, said Casey Meehan, of PEN America. Students lose the ability to access books that mirror their own lived experiences, to access books that help them learn and empathize with people who have different life experiences. Yeah, like just to be clear, like these books aren't even required reading. These aren't like books that are being taught in curriculum. They're just like there in the library. Yeah, really strange. Anyway, come down to Florida book burning on Friday. Mein Kampf is now required reading. I mean, like, seriously, skipping a hop. Skipping a hop. Wizard Lizard. No, my school does it too. They're run by a bunch of Trumplicans. I'm sorry to hear that. The list released for 2023 to 2024 school year includes titles by American literary icons like Maya Angelou, Flannery O'Connor, Richard Wright, as well as books that have become top targets for censorship across the country because they feature LGBTQ characters, discussions of gender and sexuality, and descriptions of sexual encounters like All Boys Aren't Blue. Genderqueer conservatives have labeled these such content as pornographic. Also on the list of book removals from libraries are accounts of the Holocaust, such as Anne Frank's diary, the graphic adaptation. Cool. Sophie's Choice, and Sophie's Choice was a graphic novel adaptation of 1984. Ironically, George Orwell's seminal work on censorship and surveillance. I got told that I have to teach both sides of the World War II. I asked my principal for the goods of the Holocaust so I can then get both sides covered fairly. Yeah, that's kind of like that's kind of how you have to deal with it. I imagine as like a educator, like seriously, I want the principal or in whoever's in charge to put in paper exactly how I'm supposed to do this. Yeah, that's probably the way to take care of it. They're even banning Steve Martin. I've visited a concentration camp memorial. The only good is that it's closed down forever. I also asked him how to cover Pol Pot better. Everywhere from Toni Morrison, Alice Walker, Slaughterhouse-Five, George Orwell, said Stefano Farley, co-founder of Florida Freedom to Read Project, which tracks book challenges in the state. If you take time to look at that list, you'll recognize that there's an issue with this movement. In a statement to the AP, a spokesperson for the Florida Department of Education maintained that there's no books being banned in Florida and defended the state's push to remove sexually explicit materials from schools, like 1984. Cool. Once again, the far left activists are pushing for book ban hoax on Floridians. The better question is, why do these activists continue to fight to expose children to sexually explicit materials like Check's notes and Frank's diary? Okay. Sure. If they kept Lord of the Flies and Bridge to Terabithia, it's clearly all just for show because those two books are depressing as hell. I'm just sad we don't spend more time on Japanese internment and related court cases where they got reparations. Actually, I didn't know about that. That's actually very interesting. Ban the Bible that Jesus follows a communist. True. The list shows that book removals vary widely across the state, with some districts not reporting any restrictions and others telling hundreds of titles being pulled from the shelves. Farrell of the Florida Freedom to Read Project said that based on the group's analysis of public records, the department's report is an undercount because it doesn't include books removed following an internal staff review, just those pulled following a complaint from a parent or resident. So, yeah, that's a nice way to start the school year. Schools have restricted access to dozens of books by Stephen King, a master of the horror genre known for bestsellers like It and Pet Sematary. Officials in Clay County have also decided that his book on writing a memoir of the craft was inappropriate for students. Stephen King, cool. Gotta yeet him out of the schools. I got it. So yeah, we kind of get what we kind of pick up what they're throwing down here. More restrictions on books, while simultaneously claiming to be the party of free speech and the party of small government. I only listen to supply side Jesus. He's the American Jesus that the Bible foretold. They should probably edit that weird chapter out at the end. Considering Florida's going to be an oceanic sandbar soon. Yeah, Well, what's that meme? Florida's going blue. One way or the other. It means it'll be hard to burn the books when the tide comes in. True. All right. We got one more article, folks. Let's turn our attention to Florida once again. Butthead has been named as the Attorney General. Yes, the guy that was under investigation for allegedly sex trafficking and doing inappropriate things with minors. Yeah, that's who's going to be. That's who's going to be the Attorney General. I hear he's going to make child marriages and make it his personal goal. I don't doubt it. If he had his way, I don't doubt it. President-elect Trump on Wednesday today said he will nominate Republican Representative Matt Gaetz of Florida to serve as the Attorney General. Yeah, it's a freaking clown show. What's that Turkish proverb that I keep seeing around? When a clown moves into the kingdom, wait, what is it? When a clown becomes king, the court becomes a circus or something to that effect. This is Trump's new supplier of children, just so everyone knows. Gaetz, Huckabee, we're fine. President-elect Trump wrote on Truth Social that Gaetz has distinguished himself in Congress through his focus on achieving desperately needed reform at the Department of Justice. Yeah, we all know what type of reform he's talking about. Gaetz replied on X, "He'll be honored to serve as President Trump's Attorney General. This selection is the clearest example of yet of how Trump, having sworn off many of his former staffers as rhinos or enemies of him and his MAGA agenda, is making loyalty a key qualification for his second administration. If he's confirmed by the Senate, Gaetz will succeed Attorney General Merrick Garland, who led the Justice Department as it carried out a sex trafficking investigation into this congressman." Cool. The DOJ ultimately declined to charge Gaetz. Gaetz remains the subject of an ongoing House Ethics Committee investigation into whether he engaged in sexual misconduct or illicit drug use. And that's a perfect Attorney General selection. I select the best people. I hire the best people. Nobody hires the best people like I do. Yep. Wasn't his friend that was already involved in this convicted already? Yep. Yep. Yeah, we're fine. Everything's fine. Gaetz was denied any wrongdoing. Yes, thank you. That's it. That's the proverb right there. When a clown moves into a palace, the clown doesn't become a king. The palace turns into a circus. There you go. That's it. That's the one right there. Thank you. Gaetz was denied any wrongdoing in September, said he would no longer voluntarily participate in that panel's probe. The 42-year-old lawmaker has carved out a reputation as a staunch and vocal Trump loyalist, has aggressively criticized the DOJ investigation and prosecution of Trump by Special Counsel Jack Smith. So that's why he's there. In October of 23, Gaetz filed the original motion to oust then Speaker McCarthy, his fellow Republican. A band of 8 Republicans led by Gaetz ultimately joined with all the House Democrats to remove McCarthy as Speaker, plunging the GOP conference into chaos. Gaetz was traveling with Trump, billionaire Elon Musk, and others on Wednesday during the president-elect's first trip to Washington, D.C. since defeating Vice President Kamala Harris. Trump's selection of Gaetz came as a major surprise to even his Republican colleagues on Capitol Hill. House Speaker Mike Johnson, who projected majority, has already been slimmed after Trump tapped Representatives Elise Stefanik and Mike Waltz to join the incoming administration, said, "I don't expect that we will have more members leaving." Susan Collins told Punchbowl News she was shocked by the pick. Why? Why? Yeah, the new circus equals the White House. I can't believe the criminals picking criminals. Unbelievable. This is why the Senate's advice and consent process is so important. I'm sure there'll be many, many questions raised at Mr. Gaetz' hearing. Yeah, whatever. You'll still approve him. Please spare me. You'll still approve him, and you'll still let him become Attorney General. Asked by a HuffPost reporter for his reaction about the Gaetz news, Representative Mike Simpson of Idaho replied with, "Are you shitting me?" Yeah, well, no, that's your party, dude. I don't know why like you're all surprised Pikachu facing. But yeah, this is the new reality, folks, that we're gonna have to contend with. And I guess Tulsi Gabbard's grift ended up paying off because she's going to be the head of Department of Intelligence. Yeah, it's a Turkish saying, "No more true than today." That one's even more ridiculous. Yeah, so I mean, like the grift paid off, because she is now going to be director of national intelligence. That's what it is. Yeah, no Nikki Haley though. I'm pretty sure just Putin picking people for him at this point. So yeah, cool. Very nice, very cool, very stable stuff happening here. It's gonna be fine. It couldn't get any worse, right? It can't possibly get any worse, right? Yeah, very demure. That's right. That's what it is. Found's doing each other's dirty work, yay! And like I mean, like it's all just like one big freaking joke, isn't it? Right? Like it's all one big freaking joke because like a dude is a convicted felon, happens to win the election. They're talking about potentially dismissing those charges or overturning that conviction. We've got that same felon who a jury found that he did the things that he did is now picking people who are under investigation for sex trafficking and other stuff with minors as the attorney general, top cop, ? Phenomenal stuff. When a Trump becomes president, the sexual assaulting criminals don't become king. The government turns into a P. party. Jesus Christ. Don't you have intelligence? Don't you need to have intelligence to be director of intelligence? Oof. What about Puppy Killer Gnome? Yeah, isn't she part of the administration too? Didn't she also get selected as part of his cabinet too, or part of his administration? Like it's just wild. Together because the president can do whatever they want when in office and also pardon whoever they want, so it's okay. Yeah, and like apparently none of that even matters because even when state cases they're now considering to just overturn everything. So yeah, like none of it matters. Yeah, none of it matters. I'm actually concerned about him turning the military though because that one was at least a holdout last time. Out of animal welfare. Oh, we can look it up. Hold on. No, what is this? Christy? No. Homeland Security Secretary. The Department of Pet Protection. Head of PETA. I mean, the military is supposed to do supposed to support the Constitution, but we have a lot of supposed tos. Yeah, there's a lot of gray area happening. And I think that's what's disconcerting about this whole thing. There's a lot of gray area that we'll be actually navigating because of all of this. Like, I mean, I can't think of a better word except chaos. Yeah, it's gonna be a crappy 4 years. I think that's a lot of like for people who are more left leaning. I think that's like a lot of. I think that's a misconception that we kind of need to come to grips with. Like, no, maybe we aren't better than this. Maybe we're not better than this as a country, not like individually. But maybe we weren't better. Maybe we were better than this. I don't know. Last few years were also crappy. That's true. But this is gonna be a whole new level of crappy. I feel like the mood in the 90s and early 2000s was just very different. I don't think he'll make it that long. He is in poor health and has enemies. Ooh. The darkest timeline where JD Vance gets a shot at the reins. Oh man, no thank you. To be fair, anybody remotely competent to be a cabinet member has already won last term, was already won last term and then issued a scathing comment about Trump, so yeah, they're not coming back. But yeah, like, I don't know. That's, if Matt Gaetz and Tulsi Gabbard, like, it just seems like these are all people that are just like sycophants who are like kissing the ring, you know? Everyone's so hopeful in the 90s, at least by the end of them. I'm just really worried that Trump will either die in office or get removed due to dementia. Yeah, and then we get JD Vance. So that's not good. I don't like Trump, but I really don't want Vance in charge. I can't wait to find out what MTG becomes. Secretary of Department of Education. Have you heard about the Iranian assassins? They caught him on election day. Yep. Supposedly the plot to assassinate the now president-elect was revenge for the killing of Qasem Soleimani. From what I understand. Is she really the Department of Education? No. That's just a rumor that's going around. That's a meme. We don't know anything. Yeah, but people have pointed out that he might finish out Trump's term and never get reelected. Done with him in less than 4 years. Maybe. He's on Department of Space Travel. It's a strong rumor that I'd buy in a second. Yeah, it's... What did you call MTG last stream? Magic the Gathering. Right. Magic the Gathering, okay. She's going to be working closely with Elon on his Department of Doge. That's how Trump chooses his staff. The most important thing is absolute loyalty. The moment you question the king, you're out. Yeah, it's kind of how it's gonna go. Nobody who wants to do good thinks they can accomplish good while Trump is in office. The only people who are left are grifters, sycophants, and people who want to dismantle the government. Nobody who isn't horrible wants to burn all their credibility by being part of the coming catastrophe. Yeah, no doubt. I'm not. No doubt about it. This is a fun timeline. Yeah, did you see Elon saying that he's going to make everything public from his department so people can vote on Twitter about what to cut budget for? And like, hey, real quick, pop quiz. What is the overwhelming popularity of Twitter in terms of politics? And furthermore, hey, real quick question. Is Twitter only limited to the US? Phenomenal stuff happening. Phenomenal stuff to look forward to. Cool. You can only vote on it with your arm outstretched with your hand flat. I see what you did there. That's actually how you log in to Twitter. Did you hear about the terms on Twitter? Yeah, that's why a lot of people are jumping ship. I think it starts November 15th. Yeah, good until Friday. That's November 15th? Yeah. So honestly, like, not much engagement happens. Not much engagement happens on my Twitter, so it might not actually make it might actually be okay if I just shut it down and stay on Blue Sky. I gotta make a command for Blue Sky, by the way. Incidentally, go find me on Blue Sky. It's the same username, Add a Difficult Truth. Yeah, go follow me there. Was that ancient Chinese curse? May you live in interesting times. That's one way of putting it. Good night. See you. You should shut down your Twitter, friend. Yeah, I'm thinking of, because I mean, like, it's not, you know, and there's actually pretty good, there's actually a pretty good case that, like, a lot of, like, left-leaning tweets or left-leaning accounts are getting throttled anyways. So, yeah, what's the new change that he implemented? I highly suggest to go look for it, because I don't have enough time. But, like, if you want, like, the TLDR, it's like they are now going to basically own your content and use that content, because it's, you know, one thing. But, like, they're going to use that content to train the AI Grok. So anything that you post on Twitter will be used to train Grok. And there's something else legally speaking, they're like going to shift something because of the way the courts are. I can't remember precisely, but like the big thing for creators and people who post on Twitter is that your content is now not your content, but Twitter's content, who will then use that to train their AI. So that's why a lot of people are bouncing. No wonder all those companies are leaving. Correct. Yeah. So that's like the TLDR, but like you can look at it. There's probably articles on that. You're right. Your pictures and stuff would be property of X, right? You can look up like articles and stuff like that. But that's kind of like the TLDR. Training a lot of bots on Twitter sounds horrible. Didn't Microsoft do that with Tay, and in 48 hours it became a neo-Nazi? So then there's literally no reason for companies to publish first-hand copyrighted trademark content because it can be taken. Correct. All right, folks. It's 7 o'clock basically on the dot. I got to get out of here. Thank you all for joining. I appreciate it. Thank you for stopping by. You guys are what makes this channel grow. Keep helping the stream by liking it on YouTube, okay? I see quite a handful of you on YouTube, and you guys keep liking the stream, so I appreciate that. Subscribe if you haven't done so, and follow us here. We're at 2,460 followers, folks. Can you believe that? That's here on Twitch, and of course, check us out on Blue Sky. And also importantly, join the Discord. That's the best way to keep up with the channel. I think Michael Hassler posted these up here, and he join the Discord. And also, if you want to support the channel, check out the merch store. Use !tip to directly tip your streamer, and subscribe to the Substack, folks. It's a new command, and check it out. I'll be posting another article this Friday or Saturday, and this upcoming article on the Substack will be about the election and the failure points that I believe I've kind of collected around by listening and watching, basically engaging in a lot of hindsight, you know. So if you want to check that out, go to Substack. It's the same at A Difficult Truth. A Difficult Truth, and hit that subscribe. Okay, it's free. It is free. I appreciate you guys spreading the word. We'll be here back tomorrow. Bring a friend, folks. You guys are what makes this channel grow. As always, folks, please stay safe. Thank you for the follow. I just saw it. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. We're training them on 140 characters. We're going to teach them how to beat Gen Z. Thank you for the follow, Wizard Lizard. I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you, Michael Hassler. Thank you, Heat, for mod. It is time for food. That's true. It's time for food. Let's get out of here, folks. As always, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. See ya. I love this song. All right, folks, we're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.